So I find myself asking, do I think it's weird that I still want to receive text messages from my grandmother who recently passed away? Now, as crazy as that sounds, I need just a few minutes of your time. So thanks for watching the videos. I really appreciate it. To those of you that are new to the channel, engage, leave some comments, ask some questions. You feel me? I'm always down. Try not to be mean. If you are, I'm sorry that you're mean, and we'll still answer your question. I think that's important. So thanks again. And let's talk about receiving text messages from people that have passed away. And so, yeah, it's a real thing. Link in the description below. There's one main company who's bigger than most of the others in that they offer services where you can set up, in essence, kind of like a living will, text messages to be sent out to people that you've pre-selected after you die. And while it may seem a bit morbid, I guess, in terms of like the rhetoric of how, it's communicated, but I strongly feel like that's not weird. I feel like that's a great idea. I feel like that's right along the lines of some of the core values millennials and younger people have, in that the access to technology has allowed us to sort of bridge a human condition that is just something forever attached to us, right? Unless you're not human, I guess, at which point you don't have to worry about that. And I'd argue that even some humans don't even act human, right? Because they're so mean. But yeah, I think that it's not only, again, not weird, but I feel like the biggest regret I have in life is not, as tech savvy as I am, right? Is like, I'm like, millennials are tech savvy, younger people more so. A 2-year-old can, pick up and program a iPad, with little to no trouble. The thing is despite all of the technological things that were available, I didn't record my grandma, right? Like, and it sounds silly. It sounds so silly. My grandma didn't like to be recorded, so I never recorded her. And when I did, those videos were part of an iCloud account that I don't have access to anymore. And so I did have a few, but not as many as I want to have, which right now is 0. And so, it's weird that, for example, an example was given to me recently by my roommate, who has an acquaintance who told him, that every once in a while, this person will reconnect via voicemail to a passed away spouse's voice that brings them comfort. And, the thing is I'd argue that many millions of us also have similar messages that we've saved or have had the opportunity to save. And for those of us who haven't, are kind of where I'm at in life right now, where I don't have a single voicemail or I don't have any audio or video recordings of her. And I wish I would have known about this service even just a year ago, in terms of trying to facilitate that conversation with her. So long story short, if you're in a situation where you might be, losing a loved one or a loved one, like for some reason, whether it's due to age, natural causes, anything at all like that, it's important to try and start this conversation, which can be a little weird. It's like, hey, you think you could, put a little thought into some text messages that will be sent out, like when I'm gone, like not here or whatever. And think about being on the receiving end of that, right? In terms of putting your own mortality into such a first person perspective that like you're writing from, the afterlife as it would be. I think that's trippy and it's difficult and it's not an easy thing to do because a lot of us fear what we don't know. And one of those things we don't know is when we aren't here anymore, you know? And I think that's overall like the theme and the beauty in life is that since we literally don't know, unequivocally what happens to us, when we're not here, it's really important to enjoy the time that we have here. And more importantly than enjoying your time while you're here, you also equally have to be kind and good to others. And that requires a little bit more complex thought, I'd say, which we're all capable of doing, especially those of us in developed countries that have, such opportunities to make the world a better place. And so I think that this is a good idea. I think it's a great service. And I think that for young people out there and for older people, for everybody wanting to be kind of flexible in the acceptance of such a norm, and not making it like a social moray, like about not making it like weird, because I think it's a good idea. And from first person perspective, if I had the opportunity to go back in time, I would, and I would ask her to do this for me so that, like, on her birthday or on Christmas or on my birthday, I could like hear from her in a way. I think that's kind of cool. And so consider some of this stuff again before it's too late, because the last thing you want to do is like, regret not making some of the decisions you could have made at a low cost. Such things like, like life insurance and end of life care. And then also, seeing if you can get a little you time in there by asking that loved one to write out some text messages for you, so that when they're not here, you can still hear from them.